When I first started, I wanted to have nothing but cars that I sold for $1,500 and under.
There's people out there that just need less expensive cars.
And the thing about it is, I'm going to adjust my prices off what I buy them for and not necessarily what the cars are worth.
You could not stay in business and say, hey, come visit the lot, say hi.
They're going to have to go buy new cars, get payments, and that's going to send the price of those cars even up higher.
December was a very good month in the new car side of things. My suspicion is that the dealers didn't make a lot of money on the new cars that they sold. You can always move the metal if you're willing to have a large enough incentive.
All right, Ray, we got some haters here. Joe said used car prices won't come down until guys like Brandon, like me, I'm a used car dealer, stop paying 2x what they're worth on a wholesale basis. I'm wondering where he finds sheep to pay $3,500 cash for a car with 200,000 miles on it. Here's the thing. Here's what happened over the last few years where, okay, yeah, prices in my level did double. And if I wanted to stay in business, then that's what I had to pay. Like a car that was $1,000 in 2019 turned into a $2,000 car on a wholesale level in 2021, 2022. And if I wanted to stay in business, if I wanted to continue to serve my community, to be able to offer them a vehicle that's $5,000 and under, well, guess what? That car that they had to pay me $2,000 for in 2019, now they have to move with the whole market, and it's got to be $3,000 in 2022, 2023, whatever it was. But here's the thing. I didn't make any more money. I made the same amount of money per car I was making in 2019 as I am right now, as I was 2 years ago, even during all the craziness. Guess what? I made less money when this stuff went to the moon because I was selling fewer cars. I actually did not benefit from prices increasing. And I get it. I know you want to be mad at somebody, and everybody wants to be mad at the dealers. I get it. You can take shots at me. I don't care. This is what had to happen for me to still be able to survive in this car market. Because if you have little guys like me disappear and they stop buying these cars right here, guess what? That community that wants to buy cars that are $5,000 and under, they're going to have to go buy new cars, get payments, and that's going to send the price of those cars even up higher. So you have to have this whole market that works together in a way to keep prices at least to where they're at some kind of sane level, moving at some kind of sane level. And no, it didn't happen in that short amount of time. Prices went absolutely insane. But it would have went way worse had dealers like me not come in and move with the market and still try to keep some form of price that a customer could actually afford. And here's the thing. I hated it. I hated every minute of it. We went through tax time, and I had, I think it's 2021. I can't remember, 2021 or 2022. We had cars that were $6,000, $8,000 on our lot because you could not find cars that I could buy for $1,500, $2,000. And that's another factor of the market. If I wanted to survive in this market, I got employees. I've got families that I've got to feed. I have to move with the market. And the thing about it is, I'm going to adjust my prices off what I buy them for and not necessarily what the cars are worth. So if I'm buying a car for $2,000 and it's worth $4,500, I'm not selling it for $4,500. I'm selling it for $3,000 to $3,500, and that's what I've done throughout this whole craziness. And I've suffered from it. A lot of dealers have gotten fat and happy over the last few years, but my business has not taken in a lot of the gains that a lot of these other dealers have. Another thing, we don't charge any extra fees. We don't have a dock fee, anything like that. I'm making money purely off the car that I buy, and I'm marking it accordingly off of what it brings on a wholesale level. And I'm moving with the market. If the market goes down, then my prices come down. If the market goes up, my prices go up. And that's how we operate. So I understand you want to be mad at somebody, but that's not the way I operated.
If you had to pay $2,000 for a $1,000 car so that you could get your hands on a car, that's what you had to do. That's what the market was at that time. It wasn't your fault. That's what the market was. And if you wanted to remain in business, if I heard you correctly, if you wanted to remain in business, you needed to have something to sell to a customer. You could not stay in business and say, "Hey, come visit the lot, say hi." You'll have to bring your own coffee and donuts because, well, I don't have any cars to sell. I got nothing for you to look at. I got no way to make any money, so I can't give you the coffee and the donuts. Uh, you know, you have to do whatever it takes to stay in business, and if that meant you knowingly had to pay twice what you knew a car was worth so you could have a car in the lot, that's what you had to do. And were people sheep? There's people out there that just need less expensive cars, and there's only so many places they can go for them, and so many dealers that carry them. And if they don't buy them from you, they're not buying them, and they need them, and they wouldn't buy them if they didn't need them. So you serve a particular niche in the market, and you don't control what the prices are. The plethora or lack thereof of available automobiles is what determines the values, not you.
Yeah, and here's something that's been very frustrating over the last it's even been before the pandemic, but the last 6 or 7 years. I've been doing this for 13 years now. But Brandon, with some inflation, do you think about moving cars to 5,500 and under? Eventually, this will be a certainty. It will have to go up. It'll be $6,000 and under at some point. Then it'll go to $7,500 and under at some point. As long as I stay in business for the amount of time that it's going to take to do that. Because when I first started, I wanted to have nothing but cars that I sold for $1,500 and under. And it hasn't been that long ago. 10 years ago, that's what I wanted to buy. And then, well, you couldn't find those cars anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So now I had to move up to only selling cars $2,500 and under. And that was only about 7 years ago, maybe. And then we go to 3,500, 4,000, and on up. And now all the craziness ensued over the last 4 years, and now we're at $5,000. This is not where I want to be. I want to be back at that $2,500 range. You know how many people I could help right now if I could sell cars for $2,500 and under only? But they just don't exist. And this is just a factor of how the market moves. And I know I can get grandpa syndrome sometimes where I'm like, oh, well, this car costs $2,500 now. I remember when I used to buy the same exact car for $800. It's just how the market moves. Everything goes up in price. We have this short amount of time where everything, instead of going up slowly, it just spiked real quick and then plateaued. And now it's hopefully coming down a little bit. But after we get this little bit of a correction, it's probably going to just continue to go up year after year after year, like it always does. And yeah, it's very frustrating because the consumers that I'm selling to don't necessarily have an increase in their wages at the same rate that everything else is going up. And it really hurts them, and it hurts them the most of any other segment of the economy that's getting affected by all this inflation.
Yeah, not to sound like a grandpa, because I'm not one yet, but soon to be. I remember as a kid going to the movie theater on Saturdays, and it was 50 cents to get in, or $1. I remember dating, and you'd go to the movies with a date. It was $5 for the two of you, and then you could get some popcorn and some candy. And today, what's a movie ticket cost? $15.
Well, I think we went to the movies the other day, just three of us. It's actually about a month ago, and I think it was like $50.
Okay, it's crazy. But that that's what it is, and everything has gone up, even cheap cars, everything. So it's unfortunate, and yes, your number is going to go up to $6,000 and under, and then $7,500 and under, and at some point, you'll be selling bargain cars at $10,000 and under, and people thank you, Brandon, thank you for that, because everything else, the average transaction price of used cars at that time will probably be 40 grand instead of 28. So, yeah, you're you're in it for the long haul, you're going to see some crazy prices in the future.
All right, so all of you watching here, I know most of you are not subscribed, so I need you to hit that subscribe button. Whatever we need to do to get you to hit that subscribe button, Ray will do it. So just hit it for us and let us know what he needs to do down in the comments to get you to subscribe. Yeah, and Joe, I will not relax. No, you can't just call me out and not expect me to say something to me. I say something to you. I can't even get my words right. Don't tell me to calm down. You calm down, Joe. You only have a microphone. Tell me to calm down. I'll calm down when I want to calm down.
Yeah, you may never calm down.
I'm never going to calm down. Now, here's the thing. I'm messing with you, Joe. I get it. I understand where you're coming from. Said just the facts. That's all. I would personally never buy a car from a dealer who buys at auctions anyway. I'll just buy from an individual owner. That's how you get the best price. Look, I understand. You think that's, I think you said earlier, a $3,500 car that's got 200,000 miles. Why would anyone buy that kind of junk from someone and calling them sheep? I love that you're in a position where you never have to do that, but you are not every portion of the population. The population that buys cars from me, they don't have the ability to go and buy a nice new car. They don't have the ability even to really get loans for cars. They don't have the ability to go to even some of these buy here, pay here lots, sign up for a loan and know that they're going to have that $150 every week to make their payment or be able to pay a $550 a month used car payment. They don't have that ability to do that. But what they can do in a lot of cases, they can scrape up $2,500. They can scrape up $3,500. And they know once they buy the car, then they're not going to have any threat of losing it because they own it. And then they can go to work. They can take their kids to school. They can take their kids to doctor's appointments, things like that. This is the portion of the population that buys cars from me. I'm very happy for your situation and that you're not in a scenario where you have to live like that. But just know that there are other perspectives out there. There are other situations where consumers have to buy what you call like a junk $2,500 car just to get them. This car's not going to last forever. It's not supposed to. It's supposed to get them from point A to point B until they can get to their next situation in life where they can better themselves. That's the kind of cars I'm selling. I'm not saying they're perfect. They're not great. They're $2,500 cars. What do you expect for $2,500? It's going to get you from here to work. It's going to get you from your kids to school. That's what it's designed to do. It's not designed to last you 7 years. It's designed to get you to the next point in your life where you can upgrade to the next car. That's what my cars are. I understand that. I'm glad that you do not understand that.
It's just human nature is you're familiar with your own situation, and it's hard to imagine other people's situations. It's hard to imagine that there are people out there that it's difficult for them to scrape together $2,500 or $3,000 in order to buy a means of transportation that most people wouldn't find remotely acceptable. But for a certain percentage of the population, that's how those people live, unfortunately. And until they can better themselves and find themselves in a better situation, this is what they have to rely on. Not everybody has the wherewithal to go out and get whatever the hell it is that they want. And we have to realize that we have a little compassion for people who don't have as much as you might have, and try and understand the dilemma that they face on a daily basis, and the frustrations that they must have, knowing that I need to get to work, but I can't afford to buy a decent car to get to work. And I hope my $2,500 car gets me to work for the time being. I mean, that's a tough way to live.
Yep, I get it. And I am off that now. I'm good. I'm now, Joe, now I'm calm down. I'm calm now.
You look calm.
Yeah, my middle name is Calm.
Yeah, I like that. I never knew that about you.
Hector is asking how were car sales for new cars in December 2024. I know that we've talked a lot. And one thing that surprised me about starting to study the car market is when, it's the very slowest time of the year for used car dealers. It's the best time of year for the new car dealers, and that's right at the end of the year because they have to hit their goals. They get incentives from manufacturer that are more. They're trying to move out old inventory. So have you seen numbers from the end of this past year?
Yeah, they were up 7% year over year in December. So December was a very good month in the new car side of things on a seasonally adjusted rate. I think it was the sales rate was at 17 or 17.1 million for the year. The actual number for the year was 15.85 million, but December was a very, very strong month on the new car side of things. New car sales up 7%. A lot of it was based on greater incentives, whether it be special interest rates or cash off of the vehicles. Dealers were more aggressive, and yeah, the sales were up 7% across the board. Now there were obviously some brands that were down, other brands that were up significantly more.
So how do you think like a franchise dealer? I always come back to either Jeep, Dodge, and Ram or a Nissan dealer right now because they seem to be having the worst time of any of these other manufacturers. How did they approach the end of the year this past year? If you were one of their franchise managers at one of these locations, what are you doing to try to make sure that you're getting every single person in the door to leave with either a Nissan or a Jeep whenever they come in there?
You just don't let them leave. I mean, I can't, I can't tell you how many times where I would have a customer come in and say, "Well, I was at your competitor; they just wouldn't let me leave." Well, did they handcuff you to the desk? Well, no. Then you could have gotten up and you could have left, but they just kept talking to you and you kept listening. It is. You just, I mean, Nissan sales were up like I think 2.2% in December over the previous December, and I think they were up 2% for the year. So even though Nissan struggled last year, and they did, um, there are ways to move inventory when you are struggling, and typically the ways to move that inventory are by either offering huge cash incentives or huge lease and finance specials. And I believe that's what Nissan did, and they moved the needle. Now, my suspicion is that the dealers didn't make a lot of money on the new cars that they sold. They were just glad to move the metal and create opportunities for their parts and service departments and opportunities for their finance department. Stellantis, they claim that in the third quarter, or from the third quarter through the end of the fourth quarter, they wanted to reduce on-hand inventory by 100,000 units at their dealers, and they are claiming that they hit that goal. So I don't know if the number was to go from 430,000 on-hand units to 330,000, but allegedly they hit their goal. And we've seen how they've done it. 15% off nationally on Gladiators, 20% off on some Ram trucks before you get to the dealer discount. So you can always move the metal if you're willing to have a large enough incentive to encourage somebody to say yes. And much like you said when I told you about the dealer in Louisiana that had a Gladiator for $18,000. Well, I'd buy one for $18,000. Okay, so there's even a price point for you who would never ever consider one to go, hey, I know it's a piece of crap, but for 18 grand, it's still got to be worth it. So the price just has to be lower than the perceived value for the customer to finally say yes.
And here we go. When do you think the new market bottoms out? I have no clue. and I hope it never bottoms out. No, I don't hope that. The thing about it is you're never going to know when it happens. We're going to look back 2 years from after it happens, and then you're going
that's when it happened.
Yeah, you're going to be able to say that's when it happened. It could be bottoming right now. Well, we won't know for years after it actually happens. I hope it's not bottomed out yet. I want the prices still to come down lower. I think there's still more to go. But if you're looking to time the market in the car market to be able to make your purchase, you're going to end up just gritting your teeth and being mad at the world. So if you find a car that you like, if you think you're getting a good deal, just buy it.
And I would say this: in 1986, they sold 16 million new cars in the United States. In 2024, we sold 15.85 million new cars. We've gone through almost 50 years, 40 years. So it looks pretty stagnant to me. That's almost bottomed out then, wouldn't you say? We don't see any real major growth, and we don't see any real major decline. So I'd say the market is kind of steady-ish over the last 40 years.
Yep.
Hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. Tell every living person you know that they need to subscribe to Car Sense with Brandon and Ray.